Mr. Vineet Kaler, resource person of the event, Professor Dr. Ravi Kumar Gupta, Director MEMS, Professor Dr. Manju Gupta, HOD Commerce MEMS, and all the respected faculty members present here. Commodity derivatives trading in India, notwithstanding its long and tumultuous history with globalization and recent measures of liberalization, has witnessed a massive resurgence, turning it one of the most rapidly growing areas in the financial sector today. In the wake of globalization and surge in the global uncertainties, financial organizations around the world are devising methods and instruments to contain the price risk that these uncertainties bring. Commodity derivatives are such instruments that have been devised to achieve price risk management by basing the value of the security on the value of an underlying commodity. Commodity derivatives trading, although has witnessed a long history, with the recent measures of liberalization, the sector has witnessed a massive boom in the country. Realizing the need of the hour, the Department of Commerce, Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Management Studies under the aegis of IQAC is organizing a webinar on commodity derivatives and price risk management on 24th November 2021. I now introduce you all to Professor Dr. Manju Gupta, HOD, Department of Commerce, MEMS. Professor Manju Gupta is presently working as professor and head of Department of Commerce at Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Management Studies, Rohini, Delhi. She is MCom, MPhil, and PhD. She has more than 2 decades of experience in the area of finance and accounting. She has authored 3 books which are prescribed as textbooks by GGSIPU, Delhi University, University of Calcutta, the Galgotia University, and many other universities. She has published 20 papers. I now request Manju Gupta ma'am to grace us with her valuable words.
Thank you, Sejal. A very warm welcome to all the dignitaries and participants of the day. On behalf of Maharaja Agresen Institute of Management Studies, I welcome you all to the webinar on commodity derivative market and price risk management. On behalf of Maharaja Agresen fraternity, I extend my heartfelt gratitude towards our founder, chairman, and chief advisor, Dr. Nand Kishore Garg sir, who has always been a source of inspiration and support for all of us. My special thanks to Professor S.K. Garg, Director General MEMS, Professor J.P. Govil, Advisor MATES, Professor Ravi Kumar Gupta, Director MEMS, for providing their continuous support and guidance in all our efforts. As we all know, that the Indian financial market offers numerous ways apart from equity to invest, diversify, and to ensure a positively healthy portfolio. One such method is commodity trading. The commodities market have a special place in driving country's economy and allowing investors to profit along the way. The existence of vibrant commodity market in a developing country like India is beneficial for multiple stakeholders in the economy, from farmers to traders to end consumers. A well-developed commodity derivative market requires the existence of modern warehousing, grading and quality certification, etc. And the creation of such infrastructure has brought about cascading beneficial effects on physical market also. Currently, three primary commodity markets are operational in India. That is Multi Commodity Exchange, that is MCX, National Commodity and Derivative Exchange, that is NCDEX, and the Indian Commodity Exchange, ICEX. Today, we are with us Mr. Vineet Singh Kaler, Senior Manager, Training and Education, Multi Commodity Exchange of India, that is MCX, to share his expert views on commodity derivatives. Welcome you, sir. My best wishes to all the students who registered for the event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your enlightening words. Now I welcome Mr. Vineet Singh Taylor, our resource person for today's event. He's a postgraduate in planning and entrepreneurship with specialization in finance and marketing with over 16 years of experience in financial market, treasury operations, risk management, and exchange industry. Mr. Kaler was associated with Thapar Group as senior manager risk management, handling hedging activities in coal, freight, and currency segments using OTC and exchange traded derivatives in international markets. Mr. Kaler is currently working as Senior Manager, Training and Education with Multi Commodity Exchange of India Limited (MCX). In his current profile, he shares his knowledge and expertise in treasury operations, risk management, market research, and strategizing using derivatives with market participants in the realm of commodity and currency segments. He had handled projects on price risk management and hedging strategies for various companies such as Hindustan Copper, Binani Zinc, Bajaj Electricals, etc. Now, without taking much of all your time, I would like to hand over the mic to Vineet sir and request him to move forward with the event with his insights about the topic. Over to you, sir.
Before going into the presentation, my name is Chandranath Pandey. I'm looking after the Business Development Department of MCX, New Delhi. I would like to thank Mr. Kamal Gupta, Dr. Kamal Gupta, Manju Madam, and all the faculties and students as well. Today's session, what we have thought about is to impart the knowledge about commodities derivative market. And I would like to request all of you to pay attention to how this market operates and what are the career prospects which are available for all the students in this area. We will try to highlight all the things. And in addition to that, what I would like to say all of you is why this market exists. You should know it because commodity trading takes place in every nooks and corners of the society. But why this derivative market exists, you should understand this. And basically, from the career point of view, also, this market needs a lot of equipped manpower, which is the need of the hour. Because as you know, in equities market, a lot of people talk about what shares to be purchased, what shares to be sold. But in case of commodities market, the quality manpower, the equipped manpower is missing. So how you can fill that gap? From that perspective, you can listen to the today's session. Mr. Vinay Singh Kaler have a great expertise in dealing with this market, and particularly in the hedging segment, which you will come to know. And most of the student, I think, might be knowing about what is the hedging part and how this market fulfills that requirement. And I will also request all of the students to forward their queries in the chat box, and whatever their queries are, they can ask about financial markets also, the commodity derivative market, currency derivative market, as well as equity derivative market. We will try to answer all of them. And whatever may be your doubt about this market, please don't hesitate to forward your query. By the end of the session, you can write the queries in the mid of the session also in the chat box. We will try to answer all of them. So we will not take much of your time. Let's start the session, and over to you, Vinitji. And basically, you understand it from your point of view, why this market operate, what are the opportunities that are that will be available to you in the coming times from these markets if you want to make career in financial markets. So over to you, Vinitji.
Thank you, Pandeyji. Thank you, the college fraternity and management for allowing us to have this session with all of you. As rightly mentioned by Pandeyji, our intention would be that you gain maximum out of this session, wherein you will introduce to this segment. I'm sure some of you would be following some of the products in commodities, but definitely, by end of this session, you will be more informed, and you might understand, what all career opportunities and areas are there in which you could see yourself going ahead. So what I do is I'll just share a small presentation with you all. One request is, yes, you can keep on asking queries in the chat box and during the session and at the end of session, but please do keep yourself on mute mode during the session. That will help us all to complete the session in the right way. So what I'm doing is I am trying to share my presentation with you all. You have to just tell me that whether you are able to see it or not. I guess it is visible on the screen now.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Thanks for that. I also request, sir, Kamal sir, while I present, we are not able to see the students. So please do take some screenshots and photos, that could be shared and submitted later on.
Of course, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Since this is an investor week, so we want to sensitize all of you, the comparison between other markets and commodities which is running. We'll take a contrast and then we'll understand the concepts here. I'll also try and show you the live market in commodity derivatives right now on the screen. Okay, I'll share that screen as well with you. So what we do is we just go ahead. A small disclaimer is always there and is good. Yes. Before I proceed, let me tell you, commodity market in physical sense is present, like Pandeyji was saying, every nooks and corners of our day-to-day life, not in the world, not in India, not in Delhi. It's in our day-to-day life. Understand in a very basic format what commodity brings in for you. You get up in the morning. First thing usually you do these days is just look at the mobile phone which we have. Do we ever realize the mobile phone which we are using is a combination of different products? It has some glass in it, plastic in it. It has copper used as the circuit chip, and it also has some silver in the connections. It's a simple basic product. Now just understand, if we say we are one of the largest populations in the world, second largest to be very precise, and I'm sure everyone now has at least one or two mobile phones. I also have, Now understand the reachable of commodities and its usage. That is a basic product and everyone has it, and a constant demand for this simple product is there. We start with phone. You get up in the morning, you go to your washroom, you have your soaps, you have your toothpaste there, you have your towel which you use when you bathe. Even water which you are using is now is termed as a commodity. Right? You get out of your washroom, you go to your closet and look at your wardrobe. My God, you have amazing dresses. Do you ever imagine what is it made out of? It is made out of a basic product which is called as cotton, and then some mix and match with polyester and other things. So this cotton is again called as a commodity. You just get ready, you reach your dining table, what you have there, amazingly cooked breakfast for yourself by your mom. So even the bread which would have been used, the wheat, flour, the cereals which would have been used to cook, or the oil in which the food would have been prepared, these are all commodities. You just get out of our table, and when we go to reach out to our college or whatever office, wherever we want to go, the mode of transport which you use, if you have your own vehicle like bike or car, they're all made out of, again, products, aluminium, copper, lead, zinc. The cars, they have lithium and lead batteries. You have rubbers used in a car in different formats. The tires are made out of that. You have rubberized finished inside your cars. You have copper extensively used in wirings. You have aluminium bodies. So we don't realize generally, how much we are commodity dependent. Now, let me just give you the statistics. Out of the total industry which is there, somebody has his phone still ringing. I request you to please mute yourself. Thanks for that. Now, out of the total service, out of the total industry, which is there in India or for that matter worldwide, it is only 7 to 8% which is attributed to service industry. Rest 91 to 92% of the industry is commodity specific. You just think of it. You go to I would say automobile industry, your electrical and electronics, your computer and accessories, your food and food processing, your apparel industry completely, your cottage industry, whatever you think of is somewhere or the other related to some basic product that is called as commodities. And now, since we have understood the relevance, from the point we start our day till the time we sleep, everything is based out of commodity. So there are different companies who use these products in different ways. Now, what would be the opportunity for us? If we understand this product in physical sense, we could join any commodity trading company as an expert in commodity and help them in either their logistics or procurement department, or we can help them in something called as a treasury or risk management department of a corporate, wherein they would like to mitigate the risk of these products. Now, when I say risk mitigation, let me tell you, even crude oil is one of the commodities, right? We know how crude oil prices are varying. We just see that variation, that happens once in a day. That petrol prices, midnight they get changed, and for the complete day it remains same. But actually, in the world market, these commodity prices are very, very swift. They keep on changing by second, minute by minute, right? They keep on changing like this. So what happens is people who deal with the products. When I say people, it means a complete value chain of the commodity, starting from the miner to refiner, to processor, importer, exporter, semi-processor, and even end consumers. They are all facing something called as variability in the commodity prices. These commodity prices, they change swiftly, and that this change is swiftly, the change which is very swift is not happening internally or domestically. It is a globally linked phenomena. That means commodities are not only bought, sold, and consumed in India, but it is bought, sold, consumed, traded, exported, imported in all parts of the world. You're getting that ambit, the coverage of commodity. So if we compare it with equity market in India, we have equity shares and its derivatives which are traded in some selected areas. Maybe say some of the exchanges, they have and its derivatives traded, and some of the equity shares might find itself trading on one or two of the international exchanges. That's it. So it is easier to gauge, what could happen to a equity share by doing a small analysis. Say you do a company analysis, ratio analysis, you do some discounted cash flow modeling, and then you understand the sector performance, what is the government view, what is the board of the company saying. And because by doing these 5-6 things, you'll be able to understand how the price of that script might move in time ahead. But now take a contrast of commodities. Say for example, gold. Why I'm taking gold? Because we all we understand gold, because we have seen our moms and other people in our house dealing with gold, buying and selling gold. So we understand that product. So understand gold as a product. If I say I want to buy gold, where would I be able to go and buy gold? To the nearest retail shop. So whatever price that near retail shop a person is giving me, is this the best price of gold in India? The answer would be no. If suppose I want to get a better price, I might reach a slightly bigger market, which we say semi-wholesale or wholesale market in that area. So if I'm sitting in Delhi, so I might try to reach out to a place called as Chandni Chowk, which is a slightly bigger market as compared to retail, and I might get a better rate there. Can I say the price which I'm getting for gold in Chandni Chowk market is the best? Again, the answer is no, because similar kinds of setups, wholesale markets, are prevalent in different cities and states of India. That means the price which would be available for gold in Zaveri Bazaar, one of the wholesale market types, what we find in Chandni Chowk, it is there in Bombay. Similar types of setups are there in Calcutta, every city, nooks and corners of India. Now, the point is, everywhere the price of gold varies depending on the logistics issue, or the charges and other levies. Plus, it also varies worldwide. So gold is not a product which is only bought, sold, and traded in India. It is a product which is bought, sold, traded, consumed, imported, exported by many people across the world. So there are international factors as well which might have an impact on the gold valuation. Now the point is, since we have a segregated physical market, and because of the product which has a national or global demand and supply, so there are many factors which impact the valuation and price of this simple commodity as gold, and the variability in prices is very swift. Minute by minute, second by second, gold prices are moving across the world. So in contrast to equity, are you able to see, the commodity coverage? It is a global product, bought, sold, consumed in physical sense. In physical sense, markets are all segregated, wherein physical value chain players, they face a big amount of risk or problem in case the value of the product is changing. Now let me just give you an example. When I was a kid, 5 years old or 4 year old, I used to buy a very basic product called as Parle-G biscuit for 5 rupees. I'm sure you all would have eaten that biscuit. But now I have kids, and they're also able to buy the same biscuit at same price. Now, how is it possible that over these last 25 to 30 years, the prices of the products which are involved in making that biscuits have not changed? The flour price and the other ingredient price, they would have definitely changed. Now, how is it possible that company is able to sell that same product at the same price? Now, this is what is called as some cost engineering which company would have done. They have reduced the number of biscuits, but they have maintained the same prices. Now this is the challenge I wanted to tell you, which are faced by physical people who deal with physical product. Say for example, I talk about jeweler. Now jeweler, we all go to a jeweler and we are happy to see different kinds of articles which he is displaying. He displays so many necklaces, bangles, rings, like this. So all these things are well prepared by this jeweler. They have been manufactured, molded in a separate kind of a design, and it's there. Now understand, this jeweler would have purchased a raw 24 karat gold at a certain price. Now I'm telling you the variability and risk people face with commodities, right? So he bought, say for example, very simple example and figures I'll take. He bought gold at say 48,000 per 10 gram. He would have bought kgs of gold to make so many jewelries at 48,000 per 10 gram, right? But he is not sure that at what price I will be able to sell my product. Because if you go to a gold jeweler, right, and you ask him that I want to buy gold, what is the price? He will not tell you that 48,000 is what I bought the raw material at and what is the value addition I have done. He will tell you what is the today's price. And now understand, if today's price of gold is 45,000 per 10 grams, would you be able to pay him more because he has purchased the raw material at a higher price? The answer is no. Are you getting? So people who deal with products, and if value of product goes up or down, right, because of any of the international factors or variability in commodity dynamics, the people who are users of products will face a risk. So when I say people who are users, even consumers are also users of these products. So this price variability also impact us because we are the final payout persons. So from starting of the manufacturing to refining to other processing, importers, exporters, they are all dealing with these products. All companies in India are dealing with these products. But the point is they cannot tinker around with their sales price. So they have a challenge to just deal with these kinds of variability in commodity segment. So that is why we have commodity exchanges. MCX is a commodity exchange wherein the trading in derivative happens. It's a derivative exchange wherein it helps people who deal with physical markets to come and mitigate risk. We'll cover that part as well. But now, since commodity derivatives are financial products, it becomes a part of the financial market. Now, what is this financial market? We typically know capital market. We have equity and equity derivative. We also know debt market, which has, we say, loan instrument on mortgages. We have forex market. But in terms of their financial instruments, equity has equity and its derivatives. Debt market has interest rates instruments and its derivatives. Forex market has currency pairs and its derivatives. And we also have commodity market, which is a very big market. It is global in nature, right? Plus, it is of global in nature. Plus, what happens? It also has derivative segment as well, which enables people to come and mitigate their risk. Who will come? Physical market player. And who will benefit out of this is people who trade in these derivatives. So like what we know is speculators are there in equity market, arbitragers are there. So those kinds of people are also available in commodity market. But in commodity market, physical side people are also there, which are called as hedgers. So the matter of point is, since these market they coexist, so these markets are interlinked with each other, wherein commodity markets and its derivatives, they help in terms of mitigating the risk in the portfolio, and it increases the return for any investment if it is clubbed with other assets. Now, just to give you an example, we saw this pandemic situation which has happened in front of us. So when there was the first lockdown across the world, financial markets and equity markets and other instruments in debt and forex, they have taken a big jolt. The returns were reduced, and some areas, it was negative return trajectory as well. So what has happened? We know what a portfolio manager does. Hedge funds, what they do, or even mutual funds, what they do is they always keep their investments segregated. So what they did was, they know that commodity valuations cannot go zero at any point in time. So they use commodity derivatives to introduce them in their portfolio, so that their overall portfolio risk is reduced and return increases. The good example is during this crisis situation, when all of the returns were coming to zero or negative, what these intelligent people they have done is, they have moved most of their weights to commodities, and particularly in gold and silver, so that these gold and silver are saviors for them in terms of returns when other asset classes are not giving enough returns. And whenever market recovers, there is always a trajectory of having high inflation. And whenever inflation is high, commodity products cover that inflationary risk and give you a better return. That is why commodity now is considered to be as a very key ingredient as an asset class, clubbed with all other asset classes which are there, not only in Indian segment, across the world. So the setup which we have on MCX is a electronic exchange market, and similar setup is available across the world, and we have 86 big commodities exchanges worldwide, and out of that MCX comes 7th largest in the world in terms of volume traded. Now, for a brief while, what I'm trying to do is, since I promised, I'm just going to show you an interesting picture that is called as the live market. Now, very quickly, for a second, brief second, do you see, gold, silver, you have heard about them? Look at, this is the live market screen of MCX, wherein people are coming and quoting their prices. And when I say live prices, we generally read that gold prices have changed over the last day's price, but this change is happening real time basis. Could you see the last updated time and traded time? So these markets are live. So and this is what MCX online market platform looks like. Now, what is the advantage of having derivative on this platform? Now, if we have derivatives on this platform, it removes the differential price mechanism which is prevalent in physical market, by bringing all kinds of participants from across India to trade on a single price regime on this screen. Brings in one more concept, that is everyone in India unanimously together are discovering the prices of the products which are dealt here. So from a I would say physical setup wherein limited people would be trading, we are moving to a national setup wherein everyone in India has the same price available on the screen, and they give their bids to trade from a buy side or a sell side on the screen, and whatever price which gets traded becomes a unique price, market discovered price, and which remains same for all the people in the market for all the segments. So this is what we have. This is called as a Boolean segment on the exchange, which is gold and silver. The next segment is called as metal segment, which is aluminium, copper, lead, nickel, zinc. The third segment on the commodity derivative exchanges is the energy segment, which is including crude oil and natural gas. These are all live prices. And fourth segment is the agri product segment. We have cotton, crude palm oil, kapas, menthol. Do you know what is menthol? We eat chewing gums, the cooling effect in the chewing gums, the toothpaste which we do, the cooling mint part in that is coming from this menthol. It has a big industrial application in medicines, in other used products. So these are coming from basic commodities which are traded. Right now, we have, these are all called as futures. Just to give you a glimpse, we also have options as two derivatives on the exchange. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm quickly moving away from the screen and coming back to the presentation. So in MCX, we have not only in MCX, across all 86 commodity exchanges in the world, we have main 4 segments in which commodity derivatives are available. That is agri segment, metal segment, energy segment, and bullion. This is what I showed you. Right? Agri segment will have all your pulses, cereals, spices, plantation products. Metals will have aluminium, copper, lead, nickel, zinc, like this. Now, these metal products are also called as barometer for an economic growth. So whenever you feel that we have to see what is happening in terms of the economic growth of a nation, just look at the base metal consumption pattern for that period in that country. So if the trajectories base metals have been in high demand over that period of analysis, automatically you will find there has been a higher GDP growth during that phase in that country. That is why base metals are called as barometer for then economic growth. More growth, more consumption of these metals will be seen. They have a heavy industrial application. They are used in different industries: construction, automobile, telecommunications, electronics, and electricals. That is why they are called as barometer of the economy. We have energy segment wherein you have crude oil, natural gas, coal in some of the exchanges. Bullion segment has gold, silver, platinum, palladium, diamond as the products. We also have now a product line which is developing, which is called as intangible commodities. Rainfall and weather derivatives are listed on some of the international commodity exchanges. The temperature, weather, rainfall. Water derivative is recently introduced in one of the exchanges called as CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. We have freight derivatives as well. Freight is this space on the ship, empty space on the ship. Those derivatives are also available for trading and mitigating the risk. And we also have something called as electricity. Electricity is a product which cannot be seen but felt. If you touch it, you will get a shock. So electricity spot exchange, cash market is already in Indian market, is already available. And very soon you will be find electricity derivatives to be introduced on MCX. We are in the process. So what do we have in commodities? Commodities usually are raw material which are used to create further products. Basic raw materials are treated as commodities on which derivatives are made. They can be used as inputs to make other products. So that when we say we trade cotton, so that is the basic cotton. When we trade gold on the exchange, that is pure 24 karat gold. We don't trade on gold jewelries. So you can use that main product which could be further made into different products. So the products across the globes which are used in commodities should have same quality level. They are fungible and homogeneous across markets. So if I say we have gold derivatives, it automatically means that gold derivative in its pure form, that is 24 karat, is traded on the exchange everywhere in the world, right? Soft commodities are agricultural products which could be produced and reproduced in cycles again and again over years. Hard commodities are commodities which are taken out of the earth crust, like metals, energies, bullion segment. They're all taken out of the earth crust. Okay. Intangibles now are adding on: freight, weather, electricity are becoming part. Now, with the background, you would have understood commodity valuations, they get impacted. The prices, valuation mean prices of commodity, they get impacted with global demand and supply macro and microeconomic indicators. Plus, they also get impacted by exchange rates and interest rates. Why exchange rates? Because world trade of commodities, around 85% to 90% of world trade happens in terms of dollar. So if commodity price doesn't move and dollar valuation moves, the commodity valuation automatically gets impacted. And if interest rates move, it has an impact on exchange rate, which has in turn has an impact on the commodity price. So whenever we deal and understand commodity market, we have to always understand commodities fundamental factors, which is of global nature, plus what is the impact of exchange rates happening on commodities, interest rate happening on commodities, and equity market has also some relation with commodities. That is where in the first slide I said all markets are integrated, and commodity is one of the base market which connects every other asset class. Now, commodity derivatives in India, unlike other derivative segments, are regulated by SEBI. We started operation as an exchange in 2003. This is when Government of India has given approval for commodity exchanges to restart operation in derivatives. Okay, when I say restart, it means that commodity market is not something new. Commodity markets in India have started in 1875 with Cotton Association acting as a trading intermediary. Organized derivatives were traded till 1950s mid. The commodity, all kinds of derivatives were allowed to be traded in India in commodities, but thereafter, because of some price manipulation by the market participants, such derivatives were stopped for 4 decades. Now, in this time, a lot of research and studies have happened and have been submitted to the government, and based on those empirical studies, Government of India has decided to restart commodity derivatives trading in 2003 and 4. Okay, and since then, from 2003-4 till 2015, we had a regulator called as Forward Market Commission. But on September 20, 2015, it got merged with SEBI, and now SEBI is the regulator. It is the regulatory body regulating all this market, derivative market segment in commodity as well. Now, the hierarchy looks like this. SEBI is the regulator. Okay, followed by different stock exchanges which runs under the guidelines of SEBI. Now, these stock exchanges will be NSE, BSE, MCX, NCTX. All exchanges are now called as stock exchanges, identified by the asset class in which they deal. So MCX primarily deal in commodities. So it is a stock exchange dealing in commodities. Now, after SEBI has taken over as a regulator, a lot of development has been seen in the market in terms of product wise as well as market wise. Okay, to just give you some indication, when SEBI had taken over as a regulator, they have integrated the intermediaries. That means earlier, if somebody wants to deal in equity, somebody wants to deal in currency, or somebody wants to deal in commodities, they need to open different demat accounts with different service providers with parking in different margin money. But now, since the regulator is the same, so they have integrated all the intermediaries. That is, you open single demat account with a single member authorized broker, and you get to trade with single margin money in any of these segments. Because of this, we are now having a universal exchange system wherein any exchange is allowed to have any asset class. This is why we see NSE, BSE, which were historically equity exchanges. They have even currency segment. They also have commodity segment. You just go and check. That means MCX as a stock exchange can, if approved by the regulator and management decides, we can also have equity share trading or currency pair trading also allowed on MCX platform as well. But primarily our focus is on commodity. Okay. Now, this is from market intermediary side. After SEBI has taken up from product side, we have seen options getting introduced. We have seen index trading. We know on equity market, we have Sensex, Nifty, Bank Nifty. Those are indices. So we have index also allowed by the regulator, which is not a very far old concept. In 2020, SEBI has allowed segment-wise index. So now we have Bullion index, we have metal index, we have energy index, and we have derivatives on them. Plus, SEBI is also time and again helping markets to develop. So they have allowed bank subsidiaries to part. They have also allowed FDIs, which are called as eligible foreign entities, to come and participate on the commodity exchange. They have allowed hedge funds. Category 3 alternate investment funds are hedge funds. They have allowed mutual funds to be part of commodity. They have allowed portfolio management services. So this has been a growth story, and it is still growing. Now, for your career opportunities, commodities are there in the physical sense in all the industry segments, food and food processing. So wherever you feel you fit in, you understand commodities, you can help them in their procurement and logistics department. You can help them in mitigating the risk in their risk management department or treasury department. You can get opportunities with bank and bank subsidiaries. You can get opportunities with FDIs. You can get opportunities as a analyst or a trader with hedge funds, mutual fund, portfolio management services, right? Plus, you would have heard of companies like Olam, Lewis, Dreyfus, Cargill. These are big time commodity traders. You can get associated with these companies, and they pay very, very nicely. Plus, if you understand commodity, it is far more homework which is required to be done, because it is a global product. So globally, you can go and work in any of the commodity linked exchanges and companies. So that is the opportunity which opens up. Now, what do we deal on a commodity exchange? We trade on the commodity contract, because if we want to trade in physical commodity, we already have physical market for that. So we trade on commodity contracts, that is futures and options. Only two derivatives in standardized format which are traded on the commodity exchanges is futures and options. By having derivatives on the exchange, counterparty default risk is negated. There is no counterparty default which happens on the exchange, right? Exchange takes care of that risk. Now, why do we have these contracts, commodity contracts? One is to discover the price, to have a single price in the market discovered by market participants. I've given you an example of that. Plus, to manage risk. People who deal in commodity, they face that the risk of raw material or finished good prices moving up and down. So to manage that risk, they require instruments. So these instruments are given by commodity markets in terms of futures and options. So these people can come and mitigate their risk. So how is the market set up in commodities? So we have spot markets where physical buying and selling happens. Your retail setups, your wholesale market, semi-wholesale markets, wherein you pay money and get the products, they are called as spot market or physical market, when buying and selling of commodity happens. Plus, we also have derivative market in commodity like MCX, wherein buying and selling of financial instrument is happening with commodity. Which commodity? Which is dealt in spot market as the underlying. So if I want to buy gold right now, gold jewelry, I can go to the jeweler. That is a physical market or spot market. But if I want to buy gold derivative to mitigate the risk or to earn money as a trader, I go to derivative market. Now, since these two markets are working simultaneously, it gives an opportunity for people who deal in spot market to manage their risk using derivatives. Every company is trying to do this, and to do this, they require people who understand commodity and instruments. That is where you can find opportunity, and these instruments are derivatives. I know you all know derivatives. Just to refresh your memory, derivatives are financial instrument which gets their value from the underlying assets. So if we say it is a equity derivative, it is getting its value from the equity share. If it is currency derivative, it gets its value from the currency pair. So now if it is a commodity derivative, it gets its value from the underlying commodity. If I say it is a gold derivative, underlying is the gold in physical market. So it gets its value from the physical market. Derivatives are of four types: forward, futures, option, and swaps. But what is dealt on the exchange is standardized contracts, which is a future contract, and a standardized option contracts, which are there. Now, when I say standardized, it means the contract terms are made by the exchange, approved by the regulator, and it is given to the market participants, and anyone who feels that contract suits his requirement can come and trade and hedge. So, but they cannot change the contract terms. A contract starts on the day as defined by the exchange, approved by the regulator, and it ends at the date designed and approved by the regulator. Terms of trade, delivery terms are all fixed. Now, very important point. Since we deal on MCX, commodity exchanges, commodity derivatives, most of the commodity derivatives you can buy, sell, and exit and hedge. But in case, since you are dealing with product, in case if you have an open position till the expiry, you can also deliver products as a seller and receive products as a buyer. And what kind of quality will be delivered is mentioned in the contracts which are defined by the exchange. So there is an option that even if as a buyer or seller, you can even give delivery and take delivery from the exchange. So as of now, who all are allowed is what we have already discussed. These are the people, they have been allowed in a phased manner. Who are not allowed as of now are FIIs and banks. Moment that happens, this market will be very robust because we are one of the largest populous economy in the world, and we are largest consumers of many products. So once those FIIs and other banks are allowed, it would be a matter of some years. We will be price setter for the entire world. So people will look up to the MCX prices and see that what are the price references. So we will be price setter in coming ahead, time ahead, right? So this is how we have been developing. So whenever the markets are developing, it comes with new opportunities. So for example, when bank subsidiaries were allowed, so banks were not having people who know commodity derivatives and commodities, so they require people who know this segment. So opportunity was created. Mutual funds and portfolio managers, they are still, we don't have many mutual funds and portfolio management services on the exchange. They are coming up. So to come up, they need people to understand commodities, to define strategies in commodities so that, they can build in. So again, a knowledgeable workforce is required in these areas. And we are developing product wise. So whenever market is developing participant and product wise, a lot of opportunities comes your way. Now look at the contrast in timing. If we deal in equity, trading is happening from 9 o'clock till 3:30. If we deal in currency, trading happens from 9 till 5. But since commodity is a global product, commodity exchanges, MCX, were from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11:30 in the night in summers and 11:55 in winters. Only if some agricultural commodity of local reference, their derivatives trade from 9 to 5. Agricultural commodity with international reference, their derivatives trade from 9 to 9 in summers and 9 to 9:30, 12-hour trading. And segments for bullion, metals, and energy, all derivatives in them trade from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11:30. Why? Because we are dealing in global products and we want to open our market till the time international main big exchanges are working, so that there is no gap up and gap down in the prices for people who trade. This is the live screen which we have seen on which trading actually happens. So this is the point, which I was mentioning, that commodity ecosystem in itself is bringing in a lot of opportunities for people who get associated. So on the front end, we have hedgers and traders who come and use derivatives. Either traders, they come to make money, hedgers, they come to offset risk. Plus on the backside, since product gets delivered towards the end, even farmers and people who trade in physical products enjoy benefits. They submit the product in the exchange accredited warehouse wherein quality of product is maintained. Once the product is taken in the warehouse, quality testing agencies are involved. They check the quality of product which people are bringing in. And once the quality is as same as what is delivered and allowed on the exchange contract specification, the farmer and people who bring in the product get something called as e-warehouse receipt. This e-warehouse receipt is the surety that a quality of product, quality tested and in quantity, is lying in an exchange warehouse, which the farmer can renegotiate e-warehouse receipt in the market and get its money. He can go to a bank, and bank, since it is a e-warehouse receipt by the exchange accredited warehouse, will be happy to lend money to such people. So it's a process wherein the physical market is also developing. These people are also getting opportunities, as well as the derivative segment opportunities are available. So as notified by the exchange, we have 91 commodities in which trading is allowed to have in different derivatives. 91 commodities is what is notified by SEBI, in which we can have derivatives. Now, since I mentioned we are 7th largest in the world, can you imagine how many products we have? We have only 15 products as underlying. That means still 65 plus products are waiting on which derivatives will be introduced subsequently. Okay. As of now, in bullion segment, we have gold futures and options. We have silver futures and options. Energy, we have crude oil futures and options. We have natural gas futures. Base metals, we have 5 metals in futures: aluminum, copper, lead, nickel, zinc, and we have options on copper and zinc. And in agri segment, we have only futures. Plus, we have also index segment index and their futures. So It is overall 15 underlyings which we have in commodities and 3 in indexes, and we clock and we come and 7 largest exchange in the world. You imagine if we have all 91 commodities and they are being traded, their derivatives are being traded. So this is where the growth story lies in. We are growing participant wise as well as product wise. Okay. Now, this has been the average daily performance on the exchange. Daily basis, if I say it is 30 crores on single side, it means on a daily basis 60,000 crores of turnover happens on the exchange, MCX, right? Now, there are different fundamental factors. I've just named few of them because of prices, which I was saying, no, prices, they keep on moving. They keep on moving because of global prices. If global price of the product will move, domestic price will also move because products are same. Change in currency rates will have an impact on commodities. Geopolitical factors, global or Indian, will have an impact. Trade policies and regulations, tariff and non-tariff barriers, trade wars, war-like situation, economic factors like what is the phase of the economy, whether we are in recession, inflation, recovery, growth, high growth. So it has a different consumption and demand pattern for products. Factors like demand and supply, inventory levels, availability of product, scarcity of product. These are all giving impact in terms of the variation in prices. Now, since there are variation in prices, people who are dealing in physical products, they want to just protect themselves from these variations. Who are the people? These are people who deal in physical products. That is a value chain people. So for some prices going up is a risk, for some prices going down for their inventory and sale product is a risk. So what is the ideal time to hedge is today. Today only, if we can anticipate the prices, the risk, we can take use of derivatives and mitigate the loss. So who all does that risk mitigation? It is done by hedgers. You just see corporates dealing in commodities, all corporates. Now it is 91% of the market setup. They do hedging. Farmers, producers, consumers, merchandisers, importers, exporters, consumers who deal with physical product, they try to mitigate their risk. This mitigation of risk is called as a hedging process, whereby you take offset positions on the exchange derivative, and once your physical position is finished, you square off your positions on derivative. Now, hedgers use derivatives to transfer risk. Who is the other party who take risk? Is the people who are not really associated with commodity, but they come to the exchange to make money, like speculators, arbitragers, mutual fund, portfolio management services, hedge funds. So they take risk and make money. So it is a win-win situation for both kind of people. So when I was saying value chain, who all are impacted by the price variability? If we take gold, miners, refiners, international bank dealing in gold, importing and exporting banks, people who deal in gold, wholesalers, retailers, semi-wholesalers, jewelers, refiners, branded jewelers, unbranded jewelers, semi-wholesaler, retailer, consumers, everyone deal. This is called a value chain. So for all products, there is a value chain of people who deal in them. So they are all getting impacted by that variation in prices. So what they do is they try to hedge. So people who try to hedge for prices going up are called as long hedgers. People who try to hedge for prices going down are called as short hedgers. Understand? Long hedge means there's a risk of raw material prices going up. So to hedge against that, what people they do is they buy future as a derivative right now. And whenever they buy raw material from the market, and if that has happened at an increased price, on the same day, they square off their derivative position. Now, intention is that in case if there is a rise in the price of raw material, they would lose something here that gets offsetted by the gain in derivative market. But the intention is this this hedging thing is done only to offset risk. If you do this for making money, it comes under trading and speculation. Okay. Now, the other kind of risk is of falling prices. Who does that? People who prepare their product in anticipation of sales, like farmer, jeweler, any company who keeps on producing. So for them, the risk is that whenever they go and sell their product in the market, the prices can go down or their inventories can devaluate. So to protect against this risk, what they can do is sooner they are able to prepare their product or they are starting preparing their product of finished good, they can sell futures contracts. So whenever they are able to sell their finished product at whatever reduced price, so whatever has been the price reduction which they have taken as a loss could be covered by the derivative square off on the same day. That would be the gain in one market will offset the risk in the other market. The only intention again here is to offset the risk in the market, right? To give you an example, Mexico is one of the countries which produces a lot of crude oil in the market. They are suppliers of crude in the market. Now, every January, what they do is they sell derivatives because they know that throughout the year they will be producing crude oil and selling, but they don't know what will be the price. So they face a risk of prices going down. So what they do is they sell derivative in advance of the risk which they have anticipated, and as and when they sell product in the market, they keep on squaring back their derivative position so that they are covered. Intention is to offset the risk. So hedging has a benefit wherein you get neutral to the price volatility. You are able to manage your cash flows better. You have your proper operating margins in place, and once you are hedged, you can focus on your business activity. So who all hedge? Every value chain partner hedges, right? Now that was for futures. We also have options as a derivative. We have options on 5 products, mainly gold, crude, copper, silver, in 2 variability, big contract and a smaller contract, and zinc. Okay. Now we all know what is an option. It gives buyer the right and seller the obligation. Now, just to give you an example, how people can use options to hedge risk is say one here, protective put. You can do a lot of strategies. Say in this, what is happening is, of I'm giving you an example of a person trying to manage the risk of one other derivative. That is a future. It is combination of a future and an option. Understand? If there is a crude oil trader, he feels prices is gonna go up, right? Crude oil is a very volatile product. Prices can fall because of some news in the market. So he feels prices will go up, but there could be some news because of which prices can also fall. So he wants to protect his downside. So what he can do is he can buy a put. So he's making a combination of 2 derivatives, futures and an option, whereby he wants to protect the downside. What happens? If prices goes up, he is happy. What he wants to do is he wants to protect the downside. So if prices goes up, he's making money in futures. If prices falls, he make a loss. So he wants to protect the downside. So do that, what he did was he took a buy put at 49.50 levels, whereby he's okay if market goes down by 50 rupees, and he's okay that his maximum loss in trade is trade. If market falls, he wants to limit his loss to 100 rupees. So 50 is the premium which he has paid, and 50 rupee down is what he wanted his loss to be capped at. So overall, what happened was, if market goes up, he makes an unlimited profit. Wherever he want to exit, he can exit. But in case, it is a very volatile product. In case if market falls, using option, what he has done? He has limited his risk only till 100 rupees, at any level market can go. That is where we say future is a linear payoff, whereas option is a non-linear payoff. So people or students who understand options and its variability in defining strategies, they can have a good career as a consultant, as a advisor to companies, or even they can get associated with different corporates and devise strategy. So do you see that, that this blue dotted line is the unlimited risk using futures gets blocked by a non-linear payoff of the option, right? One more example of option, then we'll finish the session. I hope, Panditji, I'm just 1 minute over. Can I cover this?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So just see, I'm just giving you one more example. Generally, people, they say in a range bound market, we are not able to make enough of the returns. We don't get opportunities to enter and exit. But understand, if you are with options, you have many choices. In a range bound market, what you can do is you can combine, you can make strategies using call and put as well. I'm not using futures. So what I did was I sell a call, I sell a put. I want to make premium as my maximum profit in a range bound market. So what happens? This is one of the strategy, used extensively by people in the market in case of range bound system, wherein I add the money at current price. I sold a call and I sold a put. So what the intention was, if market remains at the current 5,000 level, I make maximum profit. And if it remains in a range, I make some premium profit. So if I say I bought a call, so in case if market goes up, call will give me a negative return if it goes beyond my range. Okay, if market remains below that 5,000 level, the call will give me return. In case Prices go up, put will give me return, that is the premium which I earn. And when I combine the overall payoff, let's see, if market remains in the range of 4,900 to 5,100, I get some premium out of the market using options. Right? If market remains at 5,000, I am most happy. I make the maximum return. So like this, many strategies are used by traders in the market. And this is where, I would urge that if you understand derivatives well, not only in India, anywhere in the world, you can, if you understand derivatives well, you can do a lot of work, do a lot of strategy, and do different kinds of transactions. So the point is, the things and our learning never stops here. We have a lot of information available on our website in terms of brochures, product information about options, and some videos are also there. You can also find some videos on these products on the YouTube as well. Request you to just browse them and read more. We have a lot of information on the website, and then apprise your knowledge. This is where I stop my session today, and we take up any queries which you have.
So we have a query from one of our participants.
Yes, ma'am.
Why 90% of the people make losses in the commodity market even after proper risk management? Is it due to the trading psychology or improper trading strategies?
Basically, madam, this question a lot of people ask when we go to the market. So you should understand first the basic premise is when you are trading in this market, you should be very disciplined in your approach. So when the people take position based on their studies that the market may go up, market may go down, whatever may be their study, on the basis of which if they have entered into any position, they should also have exit strategy prepared. So keeping the stop loss on any trade, any news might come on any day. So what happens is that people generally don't come out of their position. They don't follow the discipline. Actually, this trading is a combination of a skill set as well as following the discipline consistently throughout the career. If you are a trader, then you should know I am not an investor. People become investor after trading. If they get losses, they keep on accumulating those shares or those commodities. But when you are entering into a market, you should be very clear in your mind that for what return I am taking this position and what should be my exit strategy when I am entering into that position. Suppose I am entering into a position and I am buying something, say for rupees 100, and I have kept my stop loss at 90 rupees. So I will come out of this position if market goes to 90, and I will incur a loss of rupees 10. What generally people tend to do, they simply don't square up the position, they wait, and sometimes they keep on accumulating those shares or say anything which they are trading, say in at rupees 88, they will keep on buying in order to make their average cost lower. But there is a saying in the market, don't try to catch the falling knife. Similarly, you should go with the trend, and if you have entered into a position, say at rupees 100, and your target is rupees 120, then you should also if you are a trader, then you should put a stop loss or 1 minute. You should what you should do, you should keep in mind that I have earned this return and I should put a trailing stop loss order, say rupees 118. This is a good strategy. So simply you can do trading by following discipline and by keeping in mind what is my aim from this position.
Next query we have
If any queries are there, you can post in the chat box.
Yeah, please do post in the chat box any queries and any feedback for this session. Uh, if time permit, can I just add on? We are doing a commodity quiz, so interested students can register free of cost. And I would request maximum students to register. By registering for a quiz, you will get to read about commodities. And if you happen to cross the first level, so we will take you to the next level, and final will be a televised event. So I'm sure, Kamalji, I'll take your ID from Pandeyji and I'll share that conquest with you. But
Okay,
otherwise,
sir.
as of now, any queries? I mean, that was just to add on, just waiting for the students to write the queries in the chat box. Please do write any feedback or queries you have for any market. We don't boast ourselves, but since we are from the market, we can cover any query from equity, debt, currency, or commodity. Now, this is something need of an hour. If as a student you are looking at to a career in equity markets only, you would know market is almost so stagnant. Wherein we have a lot of analysts. So people, they struggle to be an analyst, junior analyst, not even junior analyst. So we should always explore an area which is coming up in big time, which gives more opportunity. Plus, commodity market worldwide is second largest market. So in India, we are developing still, we say equities and currencies are largest. So we have to achieve that growth. So whenever that growth is achieved in a time frame, it brings in a lot of opportunities for people who get associated with that kind of market.
And one more thing I would like to add here. Lots of students who want to make a career out of this market, they can also go for the certification exam conducted by NIS and National Institute of Securities Market also. And that will be the initial entry point. And there are lots of courses which are being offered by lots of institute about trading strategies, how these trading strategies can be devised. A lot of algorithmic trading platforms are available in the market. So those students who want to make their career in these financial markets, they should definitely pursue those things. And we have lots of people who are coming from IIT background into this market, and they are doing a good great volume in these markets, and they are basically algo traders. And if you will see the top 10 algo trading firm in the world, they are into India also. So the advancement in trading has increased over the period of time. Say for last 5 years, there is a very big chunk of volume in the market which is coming from these algo players. So basically, I would like to request those students who are interested in financial markets, they should go and study about these strategies as well as algo trading. What is algo trading?
Yes.
What is high frequency trading? All that.
And I would just like to add on, start reading markets in total. Don't only read about equity. Read about what is the impact current environment is having and how people are changing their views. They are not only focusing on equity, they are also involving assets like commodities.
There is a question from Anil Kumar Goel. Which commodities we should focus as a beginner? It depends upon your interest. You can watch gold, silver, crude oil. So basically, it depends on where your focus is. But what Vinay ji has told, that these markets are uh, quite interrelated, and the impact of one is felt on other. Let's say like currency, the currency market impacts the commodity markets, as well as commodity markets are being getting impacted by equity market, and equity markets are also getting impacted by these bond markets. So there is an interlinkage of all these markets, and you should simply understand the basics should be very clear. That what will be the impact of this decision. Say suppose rate of interest is increased, what will be the impact commodity market. Our currency will appreciate against the US dollar. What will be its impact on commodity prices? So, basically, the basic things should be clear. And after that, if you are more interested, then you can study different things. Technical starting is there, technical strategies are there, fundamental studies are there.
Okay, so the feedback form is shared in the chat box. You all can fill the form. And thank you so much, Vineet sir and Pandey sir, for your enlightening and motivating words. It was great indeed to hear from you both. I'm pretty sure that the motivation and knowledge provided by you both ignited a spark in our audience to mold the invisible into visible. Now, I would like to introduce Professor Dr. Ravi Kumar Gupta, Director MEMS. Sir has experience of over 25 years, including teaching and administrative assignments. He has keen interest in academics and research activities. He has imparted the knowledge of research to 15 MPhil and 4 PhD research scholars, and 6 more are presently registered with him from various other universities. He has published over 90 papers in journals and of national and international repute, and has edited 6 books in the areas of management and commerce. He has participated in more than 150 national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, FDPs, etc., in which he has chaired many technical sessions and delivered keynote addresses. I would like to invite Sir to grace the event with your valuable thoughts and experience.
Thank you. You are Sajal. Sajal, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Very happy good afternoon to all the dignitaries. They have joined, and really I feel a great pleasure, the knowledge which you have disseminated. I take this pleasure to welcome Mr. Vineet Kumar Kale, Senior Manager, Training and Education, MCX. Sir, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir.
To be
Welcome.
here. And also the another dignitary is Mr. Sanjay Garkhad, Vice President and Regional Head for Business and Development of MCX. Sir, really, I take this pleasure to share. I am also a finance student for the last 98 pass, having the core degree.
Long time, yes.
Always, it's a matter of happiness for me to learn from all of you who are working in the real world market. Actually, I am just teaching only financial derivatives, stock market, portfolio management as a academic initiative. But I hope our students who joined this seminar, they must have been benefited by your real-time knowledge. And I take this opportunity to greet you, and as well as you have spared your valuable time for enriching the knowledge of students of MEMS. Next time also, we would be very happy to invite you to our campus also, so that we may be having your association in a very good manner. And let us continue with this initiative which has been taken up, and in the times to come also we would be very happy to associate with you for the further programs. I hope, sir, we will be having
Definitely, sir. Whenever.
Sure. Anytime, sir.
Ji, sir. Thank you once again to be here, and my best wishes to all also.
Thank you, sir, for giving us the opportunity to talk. And
Thank you,
Thank
Kamal
you,
ji.
sir.
Thank you,
sir.
Kamal ji.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you so much, Ravi sir. Lastly, I would like to introduce Dr. Kamal Gupta. Dr. Kamal Gupta is working as an assistant professor, Department of Commerce, MEMS, New Delhi. He has done his PhD in management from Central University of Himachal Pradesh, Dharamshala, on asset pricing models. He is an academician with more than 9 years of experience, out of which 4 years in corporate and 5 years in academics. Before joining academics, he worked as an associate in one of the leading investment banking company, Emerging India Value Advisor Private Limited, New Delhi. His area of research includes sustainability, asset pricing models, and corporate finance. I now invite Kamal sir for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sajal. A very good afternoon to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure and pride to propose vote of thanks on the behalf of Department of Commerce, Maharaja Agarsen Institute of Management Studies. I am thankful to Mr. Vineet Singh Keller, Senior Manager, Training and Education, for accepting our invitation to speak on very relevant topic for our students. His expertise will definitely help our students in a long way. Thank you so much, sir, once again for your thoughts of wisdom. I'm also thankful to Mr. Chandranath Pandey, Manager, Training and Education, MCSX. Without his cooperation, it will not possible to do this event. Thank you so much again, sir, for this wonderful opportunity for our students. My deepest gratitude to Dr. Nand Kishore Garg, former chairman and chief advisor, MEDS, for his guiding vision. Thank you for being the catalyst of change for so many of us. My sincere thanks to our Director General, Professor S.K. Garg, Advisor MEDS, Professor G.P.V. Govil, and Director Professor Ravi Kumar Gupta, who have been the pillar of strength and whose advice and concern for students is remarkable. I also convey my thanks to Professor Dr. Manju Gupta for her prompt support and ready assistant at all times. And I also want to thank our co-convener, Ms. Kajal Mittal, for doing this wonderful job. I would like to thank Ms. Sajal, our student, for being a great anchor today. And I also express my gratitude to all my colleagues and students who have joined us today. I again welcome all our participants to have a great learning experience, and I hope you all students will help. This will help students for searching good career opportunity in the financial sector. All the very best to you. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
So with this, we
Thank you,
come to
Dr.
the end
Gupta.
of the webinar. We all can take a leave. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.